services are truly invaluable. I warmly invite Taresh ji to come, please come forward and address us. Sir, the floor is yours.
A very good evening to all of you, and a very warm welcome to the J&K Branch of ICAI. A respected Chief Guest, Shri Satish Sharma ji, Honorable Cabinet Minister in the Government of J&K, respected Guest of Honor, Shri Arun Manas ji, Director Industries and Commerce, officers from the Industries Department and other dignitaries, members of the profession, businessmen, entrepreneurs, students, and ladies and gentlemen. A very good evening to all of you. Let me begin with a reality that almost every entrepreneur understands. Your business sales are happening. Sales are happening. Your staff is working. Your customers are calling for either for orders, for queries, for complaints. और उसी टाइम साथ ही साथ जीएसटी भी पेबल हो गया, ईएमआई की डेट भी आ गई, सैलरीज भी पेबल हो गई, तो और सप्लायर्स भी पेमेंट मांग रहे हैं, तो काम चल तो रहा है लेकिन कैश फ्लो कहीं ना कहीं फंसा हुआ, बिकॉज डेटर्स आर सेइंग नेक्स्ट वीक दे देंगे, एंड एट द एंड ऑफ द मंथ बिजनेसमैन सोचता है कि बिजनेस चल तो रहा है लेकिन पैसा कहाँ पे है. तो कितने बिजनेस ओनर्स ने ये फीलिंग कभी ना कभी एक्सपीरियंस की है? इफ यू वुड आंसर, एनीवन? तो बिकॉज द बिजनेस इज नॉट ऑलवेज अ लैक ऑफ बिजनेस. Sometimes the problem is lack of financial control. Sometimes it is delayed payments. Sometimes it is weak documentations and system. So आज I will not be speaking about MSMEs only through the lens of compliances and registration. I will not be speaking about MSMEs only as they being part of the government schemes. मैं MSMEs के बारे में उनकी real life of the entrepreneur के बारे में बोलूँगा, which would encompass employment, cash flow, finance, compliance, market access, structure, systems or processes, or policy or institutional support. And would also cover the concept of distributed enterprise, a need for building unity within a business community and within our profession as well, and how growth of MSMEs eventually translates into nation building, the benefit of which tends to trickle down even to the grassroots level. I would also try to emphasize the need to prefer collaboration over competition to win in the long term. I will start with a question. Are MSMEs really small? Or are they truly India's real economic engine? एक एमएसएमई बैलेंस शीट पे छोटी दिख सकती है, बट असल में वो 1, 10, 20, 100, 50, 500 परिवारों का घर पाल सकती है, directly or indirectly. So we should not only ask what is the turnover, we should also ask how many livelihoods does this enterprise support? How much money does it circulate locally and run the system of the entire ecosystem working around it? How much confidence does it create in the market? MSME नाम से छोटा लगता है, बट जिम्मेदारी में देश के लिए और हम सबके लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है. आप खुद ही सोचो, एक MSME के पीछे सिर्फ एक परिवार चलता है या फिर 10, 50, 100 और क्यूमुलेटिव में लाखों परिवार. तो MSMEs are truly the engine of आत्मनिर्भर भारत. और MSME ना एक चेन रिएक्शन है. एक आइडिया आता है, that idea becomes a business. That business creates income. Then that income creates employment. That employment creates consumption. और वो कंजम्पशन क्रिएट करती है लोकल डिमांड, जिससे प्रोडक्शन होती है और वो प्रोडक्शन सेल्फ रिलायंस क्रिएट करती है, आत्मनिर्भरता लाती है. सो आत्मनिर्भर भारत will not only be built by a few large companies. It will be built by lakhs and Lakhs of small and medium enterprises become formal, finance ready, productive, quality conscious, or market linked. And for MSMEs as well as chartered accountants, this is a major professional shift. We are not only meant to remain compliance professional, we are capable of becoming growth enablers, especially in the finance domain. MSMEs को सशक्त करने में हम काफी मेजर योगदान दे सकते हैं. हमारे लिए प्रोफेशनल अपॉर्चुनिटी और इकोनॉमिक अपॉर्चुनिटी तो है ही, बट नेशन की बिल्डिंग में भी ये बहुत अच्छे से हेल्प करेगा. नाउ अब एमएसएमई है क्या? ये कोई कैजुअल बिजनेस टर्म नहीं है. इट इज अ लीगल क्लासिफिकेशन, और ये लीगल फाउंडेशन आती है माइक्रो स्मॉल एंड मीडियम एंटरप्राइजेस डेवलपमेंट एक्ट 2006 से. और ये क्लासिफिकेशन दो क्राइटेरिया पे बेस्ड है. पहली, आपकी इन्वेस्टमेंट प्लांट मशीनरी और इक्विपमेंट में कितनी है, और दूसरी, आपका सालाना एनुअल टर्नओवर कितना है. A micro enterprise can now have investment up to rupees 2.5 crore and turnover up to rupees 10 crore. ये, और इसी को आप 10 से मल्टीप्लाई करो, you would get the limits of the small enterprise, which can have investment up to rupees 25 crore and turnover up to rupees 100 crore. अब उसी लिमिट को आप मल्टीप्लाई करो 5 से, you would get the limits for medium enterprise, जो होती है 125 करोड़ इन्वेस्टमेंट की और 500 करोड़ टर्नओवर की. और ये रिवीजन ना रिसेंटली 1 अप्रैल 2025 को हुई है. इसमें इन्वेस्टमेंट लिमिट को 2.5 टाइम्स बढ़ाया गया और टर्नओवर लिमिट्स को 2 टाइम्स. एंड माइंड यू, दिस रिवीजन इज नॉट merely a change in limits. It addresses a real problem in the MSME sector, the fear of growth. Many businesses earlier tried to remain artificially small. Balance sheets में तो पता ही है हमें, फिर artificially small because they feared that expansion would make them lose the MSME benefits, the benefits about which we would be discussing later on. The new framework sends a better message. Do not remain small out of fear, rather grow with structure and guidance. This revision gives MSME more room to invest, formalize, professionalize, and create systems and structures. इसलिए उद्यम registration is important. It is not just a certificate. ये organization की formal पहचान है. It is the formal identity of an MSME. Free, unified, and linked with formal and financial tax ecosystem. And let me ask you, what is it that truly power India's growth? इंडिया की ग्रोथ क्या सिर्फ वो 50, 100, 500 बड़ी कंपनियां जो लिस्टेड है स्टॉक मार्केट पे, उसी से हो रही है, या फिर ग्रास रूट्स की कहानी कुछ और है? हमारी ग्रोथ असली होती है ग्रास रूट्स पे, जमीन पे, देश की छोटी मंडियों से, मार्केट से, वर्कशॉप से, फैक्ट्री से, सर्विस बिजनेस से भी चलती हैं. और इनका योगदान, इनका कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन इन द टैक्स कलेक्शन ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट एंड एम्प्लॉयमेंट क्रिएशन भी बहुत बड़ा है. So we also must create distributed enterprise. A strong India cannot only be built top down. It has to be built district by district, cluster by cluster, region by region, and enterprise by enterprise. And for Jammu and Kashmir, this matters deeply. As Shri Satish Sharma ji would agree with me, we need local production. We need local services. We need local jobs. We need local confidence to reach its peak again. And let me get to the crux. Why do actually MSMEs matter to India? As per the Indian Economic Survey 2025-26, MSME contribute approximately 31% to India's GDP, 48.5% of exports, and 35% of manufacturing. 32 करोड़ से भी ज्यादा लोगों को एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिलती है, और ये तो वो है जो फॉर्मली रजिस्टर्ड है. और the Ministry of MSME dashboard now records more than 8.5 crore registration across the Udyam registration portal and Udyam assist platform, with the vast majority still being classified as micro enterprise. But at least वो formalized तो हुए, वो formal economy में तो introduce हुए. This tells us something very important. India's MSME story is not only about small shops and factories. It is also about formal identity, digital registration, giving them credit access, making them ready to take the benefit of government schemes, market access, and financial inclusion into the mainstream economy. So MSME की registration तो एक पहला step है. ये पहला step है towards their integration into the formal economy. And we are not speaking about a small sector when we talk about MSMEs. We are speaking about India's employment base. We are talking about India's manufacturing base, export base, employment base, and in local income base. और हर GDP contribution के पीछे there are real businesses. Behind every export contribution, there are real entrepreneurs working day and night. Behind manufacturing contribution, there are real workers toiling hard and providing for the family. Behind employment numbers, there are families, ration bills, medical expenses, and hopes and dreams to be taken care of. जब एक MSME strong होती है ना, तो एक balance sheet नहीं, पूरा परिवार सशक्त होता है. And when we as CA help MSMEs maintain books, file correct returns, give them a growth roadmap, help them track their financial progress, we are not only doing compliance work, we are helping that enterprise become visible, credible, finance ready and growth ready. और J&K के लिए तो message is even stronger. We cannot depend only on government jobs or a few large employers. We need thousands of local enterprises. We need to generate local employment and strengthen our local economy and contribute to our local government. The next question is that, can India become a producer or just remain a consumption market? We very well know that India is a huge market. The world wants to sell to India. That is why India is being celebrated widely across the world. But today the world itself is changing. Supply chain, in today's time of disturbed global order, supply chains are being disrupted, conflicts between different countries are increasing, economic pressure is rising. Countries are thinking more seriously about becoming self-reliant and domestic capability they are working upon. There is a famous saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. I would like to add on to that and say, when the going gets toughest, the Indians get going. In a world facing uncertainty, conflict, supply chain disruption, and economic pressure, India is not waiting for the storm to pass. Rather, we are learning to move through it and sail through it rather smoothly. But सिर्फ कंजम्पशन इकोनॉमी के बेस पे कोई देश मजबूत कैसे बनेगा? मजबूत देश वही बन पाएगा ना जो बना भी पाए, सोच भी पाए, उसको पैकेज करके बेच भी पाए और इंटरनेशनल मार्केट्स में compete भी कर पाए. A strong and self-reliant nation must produce, assemble, process, design, repair, package, service, and export, and earn in dollars, or maybe a different currency in the near future. And honestly, we should ask ourselves, should India remain only a market for the world, or slowly transition into becoming a maker for the world as well? Now we come to India's import-export reality. 2025-26 में इंडिया के टोटल मर्चेंडाइज यानी कि गुड्स और सर्विसेज के एक्सपोर्ट्स कंबाइंड एक्सपोर्ट्स वर अबाउट $860 billion and billion has 9 zeros. Multiply that with the exchange rate. इतना हमने एक्सपोर्ट किया, but still we have imports for the same equaling $980 billion US. So which leaves us with a trade deficit of more than $120 billion, which is a huge sum. $90 billion, more than 90 billion. China. We had a merchandise trade deficit, यानी goods का 333 billion का था, जो कि which was majorly offset by a trade surplus in goods. तो इससे हमें क्या पता चलता है कि हम सर्विसेज में तो स्ट्रॉन्ग हैं, बट वी नीड अ सॉलिड फाउंडेशन ऑफ डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्शन ऑफ गुड्स. और ट्रेड डेफिसिट सिर्फ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, ये आपदा है जिसमें अवसर भी ढूंढा जा सकता है. ये मैन्युफैक्चरिंग अपॉर्चुनिटी का भी सिग्नल है, बिकॉज व्हेन वी इंपोर्ट अ फिनिश्ड प्रोडक्ट इनटू इंडिया, simultaneously we are exporting the employment opportunity, we are exporting the manufacturing opportunity, the value addition that could have been made in India. We have a very young population. India has one of the greatest advantages in the world, its young population, which is called the demographic dividend. Our young population will either add to our power or would put us in peril. या तो वो हमें सशक्त करेंगे या तो हमें ले डूबेंगे. और इस ये कैसे डिटरमिन होगा, वो अभी 5-10 साल में जो सशक्तिकरण हम उनका करते हैं, वरना 10-15 साल बाद इंडिया का या तो बहुत पॉजिटिव आउटलुक है या तो बहुत नेगेटिव. India's working age population is expected to exceed 100 crore in the next decade. So if they are not skilled, if they are not valued enough, if they are not financially wise, how would we as a country sustain them? युवा शक्ति तभी राष्ट्र शक्ति बनती है जब वो स्किल्ड, प्रोडक्टिव, एम्प्लॉयड और एंटरप्रेन्योरियल होती है. If youth become skilled workers, entrepreneurs, professionals, value creators, then and only then this demographic dividend can yield economic power. Otherwise, it translates into becoming a demographic disaster. That's why channelizing the energies of the youth is a matter of paramount importance for national security as well. India needs more young people to think entrepreneurially. We must be mindful of the fact that government jobs cannot absorb everyone, and large corporates would prefer to stay concentrated in large industrial corridors and metropolitan business hubs. In India, we need to think initiative and entrepreneurship. India में जब first generation success की बात होती है, we talk of Dhirubhai Ambani. And I would like to say that he worked in an ecosystem that helped him grow. We don't only have to work ourselves because we cannot scale in isolation. We need to create a right ecosystem around us as well. और youngsters की बात की जाए, if we consider countries like USA, अब USA में their entrepreneurs are lauded. Be it Mark Zuckerberg, be it Steve Jobs of the Apple glory, be it Elon Musk, they are lauded for their achievements. They are heroes of the society. हमारी सोसाइटी के जैसे हीरोज और आइडल्स हैं, यंगस्टर्स स्लोली एंड स्टेडीली अपना पाथ उसी हिसाब से डिसाइड कर लेते हैं.